Study a portion of the word. Thank you, Father, for each one here. Father, we just pray that you'll open our eyes and hearts to your word. In Jesus' name, amen. Looking around here, I think most of us remember Hee-Haw.
Yeah.
Stan probably doesn't remember that. Yeah, 549. Yeah. Remember the song, Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me? Leaving dark depression, excessive misery, and if it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. Yeah. I tell you, I'm looking at today's lesson with something called Jeremiah's Prayer. I think Jeremiah could relate to that song. Gloom, despair. I had a friend in the co-work one night and said, I'm going to get born blues tattooed on my arm. Jeremiah experienced much pain, physical and mental. In chapter 10, he heard of a plot to take his life, only to find out one of the scheming to kill him were from his hometown and members of his family. There was no one he could trust. He felt pain and hurt inflicted by his enemies, people who should have been his friends. His people had replaced covenant and family loyalty with the eagerness of removing the messenger of words they didn't want to hear. How many times we've seen that or heard of it? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And that was what his people, like I said, even his family and friends and people in his hometown. I don't want to hear it. So Jeremiah turned to the Lord in private prayer, speaking honestly and frankly with God. Jeremiah pleaded for God to act according to his righteous character. The wicked were having their own way, and God was taking too long to act in judgment. We've been there before. God, when are you going to do something?
He's having their way.
He's having their way. You know, when are you going to do something? How long are you going to put up with this? You know, I've even said, when you look at our nation, when is God going to say, I've had enough? And when we're looking at it, it looks like it may not be long before God has said, I've had enough. At the moment, it seemed that God didn't know or care about the true hearts of his enemies. That's what it felt like in Jeremiah. God, don't you care? God could do something. God could do something in the situation, but up until that point, he had not. So Jeremiah is praying, God, you can do something. He has. The pain is far worse when it comes from someone you know and love. Isn't that true? And the pain was coming like that from his hometown, his own family. And sometimes that hurts the worst. Haven't we all been there to a certain degree? We've been hurt by someone that we love, by someone we care about, and it seems like they didn't care, they don't care. It seems sometimes that our prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling. And they're not getting through. It seems like we pray and pray, it seems like it's not getting through. But God, where are you? Don't you care? That was Jeremiah's situation. The book of Jeremiah records the laments Jeremiah prayed, commonly called as Jeremiah's confessions. From these, we gain a glimpse into Jeremiah's prayer closet as he talked with God. Jeremiah struggled with God about his walk in life and about the message he had to preach. And it was tough. It was a tough message to preach. In his honest prayer, Jeremiah cried for justice and even hurled defiance at God. These are blunt conversations with God, but there in his prayer closet we can see elements of faith, sound with doubt, a desire to rebel against God, and feelings of self-pity and despair, gloom and despair, agony and misery. But through it all, Jeremiah remained faithful and never let go of God. When God's brought us down to the depths of despair and depression, and ask probably, God, where are you? But it's deep down we knew God is there. He's always with us, and he'll pull us through. He was conscious of his inability to bear the burden that God had laid on him, but never doubted his calling from God. That's funny. You look at these verses, look at Jeremiah, he questioned God. And like I said, he was in a deep depression, I think. but yet he never doubted his calling. And you know, to me, that means a lot. It's essential. You know, we got to call us to service, and we go through times of hardship and trouble, but never doubt. You know, God will bring us through. So just look,
It was our whole thing for VBS this year.
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
And I read something yesterday, a devotion, and it said that we are God's, well.
You lost it.
I lost it. When you're building, we are in His, not creation.
his work. Yeah, yeah,
His works.
yeah.
But at the same time, he says that we are his material, but his
Yes.
material with a voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Construction. We are his construction,
Yes.
but we are his material with a voice.
Yes. Continually.
Yes.
It never stops. Until the day we die, we're still under construction. We're
Yes.
under his work. Yes. Someone read down chapter 12, verses 1 through 4.
Righteous art thou, O Lord, when I plead with thee, yet let me talk with thee of thy judgments. Wherefore doth the way of the wicked prosper? Wherefore are all they happy that deal very treacherously? Thou hast planted them, yea, they have taken root. They grow, yea, they grow forth fruit. Thou art near in their mouth and far from their reins. But thou, O Lord, knowest me. Thou hast seen me and tried my heart toward thee. Pull them out like sheep for the slaughter, and prepare them for the day of slaughter. How long shall the land mourn, and the herbs of every field wither, for the wickedness of them that dwell therein? The beasts are consumed, and the birds, because they said, he shall not see our last end.
Jeremiah knew God's righteous character. In Psalm 145:17 says, the Lord is righteous in all his ways and kind in all his deeds. Jeremiah knew and was aware of the righteous power of God. It was his way, to me, I think, of addressing God in the salutation. It's like, I think, sort of like the model prayer, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. You know, I was telling someone, I'm going a little sidetrack here. I was telling someone, I think it was on Jeopardy. I may have told somebody that said that all three of the contestants, you know, this was to fill in the blank. Our Father who art in heaven, blank, be your name. None of them knew it, of the three. Not any of them knew the word hallowed. That's sad. It is. It is. But which is the Father be my our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, is a salutation honoring God, putting him in his proper place of power and authority. He goes on to plead his case with thee. The Christian Standard Bible reads a little different. And you will be righteous even if I bring my case against you. Is a term meaning strive against or contend with, specifically in a legal case. Jeremiah knew God would act rightfully even if he brought a formal complaint against God. But Jeremiah is serving a but, or nevertheless. Let me talk with you. There's probably a little desperation, confusion in his voice when he asks, why have the ways of the wicked prospered? Why have all those happy that deal very treacherously? Why are they happy? Everything seems to be going this great. No problems at all. This can mean faithless or disloyal traitors. We have probably asked the question ourselves. Why is that person who's living in sin, thumbing his nose at God, and living such a happy life and carefree?
There will come a day.
There'll come a day. Yes. And you know, and I think we've all seen it. These people, like I said, they live a treacherous, sinful life and carefree, and seems like everything is going just fine. But deep inside, is it really going great? We don't know it. Yeah, I'm reminded of the song we've sang before, Further Along. While there are others living in darkness, nevertheless they're going wrong. And I think sometimes we do. Even the song, we question that. You know, why? Why is everything going great for them? But like I said, there'll come a day. There'll come a day, unless they change their lives and turn to the Lord. I've quoted one time, John D. Rockefeller said, made a statement one time, I'd give all I own to have one good night's sleep. And you know, that how much interest in it, and we know it seems on the outside of the appearance that everything is going great, but what about the inside? Is things going to great things? But Jeremiah goes on to complain or question that God seemed to turn a blind eye to injustice. Plus, he also seemed to have played a part in their moral dilemma. In other words, we look at that and say, God, you're blessing them. That's what Jeremiah said. God, why are you blessing them? And it seemed like everything's going great for them, and it seemed like it's because of you that you blessed them for them. And we see that, like I said, even today. He says, like a fruit tree, God had planted and cultivated these wicked people, and now they produce this fruit. Jeremiah went on to state, these people give the Lord lip service, but he's far from their mind. Again, we see that. We've experienced it. We give the Lord their lip service. In other words, they come to church, sing the hymns, put money in the offering plate, sit through the sermon, but it all has no meaning to them. Their mind was on the carnal things of this world the whole time they stayed there. How many times, and I guess they say guilty, or someone that hasn't been to church in a good while, and they come in and they walk out of the church, and they're, God, why didn't they get that? It just seemed like that was meant for them, and they just walked right out, just nonchalant, like it just another sermon. And of course, I know deep down I needed it too, but still, we've all experienced that. Seen that, it's like someone like, gosh, why didn't that sink in? Why didn't they get it?
They were here, but they didn't hear.
That's right. They were here, they didn't hear. Yes. It's always the old saying, we told our mother or teacher said, you heard me, but you weren't listening. And that, or the minds and things, or people going during the sermon now after sitting in the congregation texting. And we see that now. I don't know how we lived as long as we did without cell phones.
Much better.
But much better, yes.
I think we use this to remember when Lucifer was tempting Satan.
Oh, yes. Now, some of it's a little twisted,
Yeah.
but he was quoting scripture. Oh, yeah. Satan, Lucifer, he knows us quite well. And he knows what scriptures to throw our way.
We notice that they, from the conscience or consequences.
Yeah.
He will not see our actions.
Yes.
And,
There's no consciousness, like I said.
live for the moment, not for.
Right. No consciousness, no guilt. I've done my duty. I went to church, and I put money in the offering plate, and everything's fine.
Well, the whole world now is the whole attitude of, if it feels good, do it.
Right.
Just do it. I'm so sick of seeing all those sayings for all these companies. That's their thing now.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yes. Well, and I was telling you all this morning, I hadn't watched a while. I went home and watched Temple Popper. I like the one I can't stand, but she watches the veterinarians working on them animals, but she don't like to watch the Temple Popper. But there was a guy, I don't know if his wife or girlfriend, he had some things on his back that needed to be removed because he couldn't do this and that. And they prayed, and his, I don't know, wife or girlfriend, they never say significant other nowadays. They prayed and all this, and then after they had it removed, now I can go do what I want to. Yeah, and that's kind of the attitude we have. I can go without my shirt now and all this, and it's all right back to, but yet they prayed, and all that, but, everything would be a success, but then after it's over, I can go do what I want to now. Yeah, and that's the attitude of our people today. I want to do what I want to. I want what I want when I want it. We've all heard that statement, But but Jeremiah wanted God to judge his enemies. Their mind was on the carnal things of the world. Like I said, Jeremiah wanted God to judge it. You know me and have seen me. You have tried to examine my heart. You know I am faithful. So pronounce your judgment on these enemies of mine. You know, I'm saying it with tongue in cheek, jokingly, you know, God's judgment, well, God will judge. But there's sometimes I kind of like to watch it. But no, that's not right here, that's wrong. What?
He said that's the human in us.
That's the human in us, yes. But he wanted to drag them like sheep for slaughter, set them apart for a day of carnage. Jeremiah may have been referring to the carnage of war where there was great and bloody slaughter or injury. Jeremiah went on to ask how long the land would have to mourn and the herbs would have to wither. You know, the wicked were destroying the land, and we've seen this even today by overproducing, overgrazing. If you put too many livestock on a portion of land, graze it to the ground, it'll be several years before the land will ever produce enough grass where it would support livestock. You know, I've seen it even on our place. When Mother and Daddy bought the place 1965, and the people they bought it from, he ran sheep. Here we go with sheep again. But they were grazed. And there's a spot there that was right north of their house in the pens and barns. It's never come back. That's been since 65. That grass is still gets about like that. And it was so overgrazed. And this is what happened here. They abused the land. The land was supposed to be rested every 7 years. They were ignoring this. Okay, Butch, you got Leviticus 25, 1 through 7.
And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years shalt thou sow thy field, and 6 years shalt thou fruit thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field, nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest shalt thou not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine and undress. For it is a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, for thy stranger, and sojourner with thee, and for thy cattle, and for all the beasts that are in thy land shall not decrease thereof be meat.
They ignored this. Just ignored it and abused the land. And you know what God is saying? You let the land rest every 7 years, and there would probably be enough what we call volunteer crop that came up on us for them to harvest and to feed upon. But they ignored it and they abused it. But they said even went on to say, not only will the land suffer, but the birds and beasts will be consumed. Drought brought lack of grass and vegetation, forcing animals to leave the area and die. Yet the residents of Judah were confident that God would not see our last end. They were so messed up, they said, they were confident that God's not going to do anything. God's not going to see our end. They were sure that he was not a witness to their evil. Now that's really going too far. Yeah. They had got so far, God doesn't know what we're doing. He don't see what we're doing. Of course, they were grossly mistaken. We know or see people who ignore God, yet prosper, even as we struggle to live a godly life. Sometimes such circumstances are difficult to understand, but we must remember God is still in control.
Yeah.
You know, my nephew, the preacher, was telling me about a nephew of his was complaining that he just went to work for the fire department somewhere, I think, in Asheville. But he was complaining that he was just making $77,000 a year. He just couldn't make it on that. I mean, single, probably living at home.
Sounds like an athlete.
Yeah, sounds like an athlete, yeah.
A single man?
Yeah, single man, probably still living at home. And he just couldn't make it on $77,000 a year. And,
He was living well beyond his means.
oh, yeah, yes. But when we do see people, I mean, they just can't make it. I saw an ad on TV where I think it was North Dakota that Christian, she's the governor. South Dakota, okay, offering people for I think it was this apprentice plumbers, starting at over $77,000 a year, and no pay income tax. Yeah. I said, I hope Seth don't see that. I don't know what they're gonna play license numbers. But you know, it's just, but some of us say, well, I just can't make it. But sometimes there's circumstances, like I said, are difficult to understand. Like I repeated, we must remember God is still in control. Someone read down verses 5 through 6.
I read that one in my place.
All right, read it.
You know, along with putting and trying to then trying to figure out how can you run compete with the horses. If you fall down in the land of peace, how will you do in the thickets of Jordan? For even your brothers and your household of your father, even they have, treachery with you. Even they have cried aloud at you. Do you believe them? Although they may say nice things to you.
There's a sermon there in it, Brother Griffin. Sermon, we could go several directions with these verses here. And, many times when Jesus was asked a question, he answered with a question. Here God is answering Jeremiah with a question. How can you race against the horse when you are more out racing someone on foot? Notice, I may be wrong, but when I get to this, I may be wrong, but I look at God's answers. Don't wear yourself out and worry about what others are doing or not doing. But save your strength for the task I have for you. We sometimes get so tied up in what others are doing and not doing, and we get tied up in that. And woe is me, I'm doing all this, and they're not doing anything. Just be concerned about what you're doing, what God has called you to do. I was talking the other day, well, it's one year I was BBS director. 1 year. But I told all the teachers, I said, worry about your class. Don't worry about anything else. If there's another problem, if there's a problem, let me worry about it. You just worry about what you're doing in your class and take care of that. And don't worry about any other thing. Whether it works or not, I don't know. It's been too long. I don't know. But God told him his job would not be easy, but difficult. It's trying to outrun a horse. God then asked Jeremiah, if things seem to be tough in the land you're now in, what are you going to handle? How are you going to handle things when the Jordan River overflows its banks into a plain that goes up as a ticket? Here the vegetation grew dense. Lions and other predators would hide there, making them especially dangerous. If you think things are tough now, Jeremiah, just wait. Jeremiah's own relatives had betrayed him and were part of a plot against him. They were just part of this accusing mob speaking to destroy him. Okay, I think it's high in chapter 11, verse 21.
Therefore, thus says the Lord of the men of Anathoth that seek thy life, saying, prophesy not in the name of the Lord, that thou die not by our hand.
Trust in the Lord. Jeremiah was not to trust in them or have confidence or trust in them. Their words of comfort and support to him were deceitful. By comparison, the threat to Jeremiah would be far greater in the future. Kings, nobles, false prophets, and priests would plan to put Jeremiah down in his ministry and even his life. He would be falsely accused, brutally beaten, repeatedly imprisoned, and fearfully threatened, coming close to losing his own life. How many of us would think that I'm doing what you want me to do, Lord? Well, that's tough. Jeremiah would face far more powerful, intimidating, and dangerous people than at Anathoth, his hometown. Jeremiah needed to place his trust in the one who called and empowered him. The question is asked, how would you consider a ministry such as Jeremiah's? I understand more as to why he is referred to as the weeping prophet. There was how do we react if God just told us just half of what we're going to face if we follow his guidance and leadership? I don't know. It's tough.
It's a good thing we don't know.
It's a good thing we don't know, yes. And you know, sometimes we've always heard the statement, when God shut the door on you. How many doors were shut on Jeremiah? You know, I always remember the statement, and I shared it with Bush some years ago. JC, I hadn't heard it in a long time. So. But when Bob Phillips was coach of the then Oilers, they got to the finals, but were defeated the first time. And someone asked him about next year. He said, "This year we went to the door and knocked. Next year we're going to kick it down." What? Yeah, I cleaned that up. Well, he didn't always take his hat off. Always in the Astrodome. His mother always taught him to take his hat off inside the house. But I was thinking of a lady, and she was one of the contributors on Fox News several years ago. I can't remember her name. I'm still able to see her face. But she was telling one of the commentators on there that she had accepted Christ, Lord and Savior. And it just happened to say she called her mother to share her experience with her. Her mother chuckled and said, "You're not serious." And said she told her that she was and had truly accepted Christ. Her mother told her, "Don't worry, you'll get over it in time." And said she also said all of her friends had left her. And you know, I haven't seen her on that program in several years, and I often wonder about her. She's okay. And you know, as I've said before, sometimes God will place someone in our mind, in our heart. And every once in a while I'll think of her and I'll lift her up in prayer. And there's others like that maybe we've had experience with and accepted Christ years ago, and we haven't seen them since. And we wonder, you lift them up in prayer. And, but I don't know her name, like I said, but I don't remember her name, but like you say, God knows her, and you just lift her in a short prayer. He's with her and giving her, speaking and giving her strength. She's holding true. And we've all experienced individuals like that. But it's tough. I think another quick story, and this man was telling me he wanted us to witness this guy, and he wanted the Lord. He told us that the guy Satan is going to attack you. Just be ready. On every corner, he's going to attack you. He said several months he saw him later and asked him how he's doing. He said, "I'm doing great." He said, "My parents have disowned me. My girlfriend quickly broke up with me." He said, "The guys at work make fun of me because I read my Bible at once." She said, "When is Satan going to attack me?" I mean, sometimes I wish we had that mindset, and none of this woe is me. You know? Yes, in the army of God. Exactly.
We have a friend that's been going through a lot of stuff. We go, "No, I feel honored."
Yeah, you should feel honored. Yes. Yes.
Praise God.
Right. Yes. You know he's one of yours. It sure is. Someone read down verses 7 through 13.
I have abandoned my people, my special possession. I have surrendered my purest ones to their enemies. My chosen people have borne me by the line of course, so I have treated them with contempt. My chosen people I have expelled vultures, but they themselves are surrounded by vultures. 300 wild animals to pick their corpses clean. Many rulers have ravaged my vineyard, trampling down vines and turning all its beauty into a barren wilderness. They have made it into an empty wasteland. I hear its mournful cry. The whole land is desolate, and no one even cares. On all the bare hilltops, destroying armies can be seen. The sword of the Lord devours people from one end of the nation to the other. No one will escape. My people have taken wheat, their harvest of thorns. They have worn themselves out. They have done them no good. They will harvest their crop of shame because of the fierce anger.
God is answering Jeremiah. They're not going to get away with it. No more. Jeremiah's own family in verse 6 was plotting against him. And God's family, my house, was also opposed to him through their sins. My house can either refer to the temple, chapter 11:15, or to the people of Israel, or Judah. He has deserted the land, my inheritance. He has handed over his people the love of my life into the hands of the conquering enemies. God's presence would leave the people in Judah and would be conquered. And we'll read Ezekiel 10:18.
Then the Shekinah
Shekinah, glory of the Lord departed from the threshold of the temple and rested over the cherubim.
He departed. You know, that's really in a way God said, I've had enough. But the people that God dearly loved would face judgment. I have deserted, I have handed over. Judah's judgment has already been completed in the mind of God. But it just hasn't happened yet. Referring again to Judah and his heritage, God said they treated him as a lion in the forest. A lion will not normally back down, especially a lioness with cubs. The people failed to submit to God. They had come to hate him. They continually went on the defensive and challenged his authority. To hate her, as God speaking here, should not be understood as God's literal hatred toward his people. The expression suggests his rejection of them for violating the covenant. Their rebellion made them his enemy. He continued to love them, but would judge them. Verse 9, some scholars translate birds as hyenas, the Christian Standard Bible, which is an animal of prey. The predator had now become carrion, her dead body, for the vultures. Birds of prey would feast on her dead body. Judah's enemies would gather them like wild animals, bring them to devour her. Judah was God's choice, precious and desirable vineyard, into which he put much effort and took great care. Now her hedge of protection would be removed and the vineyard would be destroyed. The shepherds, Judah's enemies, would come in and destroy the vineyards, leave it trodden down and bare. We were talking the other day, about somebody having tomatoes, about the tomato worm, a little green worm about that long. And, someone said, I've seen them on the vines and didn't really give them much thought. And they went out there the next day, everything was gone. The leaves and everything were destroyed. And just that one worm, seemed like, and once they hit the vegetation and everything, it was gone. I mean, just like overnight. I remember and I haven't seen in years, how many remember the blister bugs? Yeah. God. Oh gosh, yeah. We were living in Brownwood then, and we'd planted a garden and gone down here for the weekend and come back, and that garden was solid blister bugs. It's just like they just all lined up and just went through there and just destroying everything. Well, that's what the enemies have done to Judah. They destroyed everything, trampled everything down. And I've seen it, we may have some vegetation or wheat or oats or something. We leave the gate down, and the cows get in there, they trample it down, and you destroy it, and there's nothing left. And this was the enemies of Judah. They came through there and just destroyed everything. Destroyed the temple, destroyed the walls. There was nothing left. Invaders would be ruthless, but no one grieves, no one notices, no one cares. I don't get that part. How they come in there, the enemy comes in and invades, and these people, they don't care. Don't we see it today? California, no one cares. Well, even our government and other places, just no one cares. I said, no one cares as long as they don't affect my check. I mean, that's kind of the way we think.
You don't touch my money.
Yeah, that's right. We used to say at the time when I was working for the government, as long as it doesn't affect my pay and annual leave, well, I'm okay with it, it's so true. And it's hard for me to read this part that no one cares. No one grieves. Tragically, if Israel had remained faithful to God, she would have known his continued care and protection. Because she turned against him, the people would be destroyed. Nebuchadnezzar had thought that his plan to conquer Judah was his own. But the invaded Babylonian armies were simply a sword in God's hands. The instrument God would use to bring destruction on his land. We see that even today. Some leaders may think he's the one in charge. He's going to think it's God. The sword is in God's hands. And does he have that sword drawn back? And when is he fixing the wilderness? We think that, Satan is alive, the book, Satan is alive and well on planet Earth. Well, he is alive and well, but God is still keeps him in control. He has not turned him loose. But God is there ready, like I said, with our nation, the evil world. I believe he's got that sword drawn and ready to will. But who is he going to use? We don't know. It will come, the final judgment on us. We don't know. But any wheat the Judeans may have sown would lie fallow when they were invaded. There would be no one to care for the crops, and invaded plants would take over the fields. In other words, it doesn't take long. You take a garden or a field of crops, when it's not cared for, taken care of, before you know it, it's overcoming weeds and thistles and briars. And it gets to the point you don't even recognize it. It used to be a field. I know there's a field there on the nephew's part of the place that was a field. We raised, the natives live, we had to raise oats on it for seed, for hay and stuff. Now it's growing up. It's growing up to what we call them Wasatch trees. And Wasatch is a cousin to the mesquite. But they were introduced. They didn't come here. It's just like these trees are invaders. They've invaded this field. And unless we go in there and cut them, poison and whatever, it's going to, before you know it, it'll be overgrown in cedar trees, cedars and these Wasatch trees. Wasatch trees, they got thorns about like that. And like I said, they're cousin to the mesquite. I was leaving today and I looked down there and said, gosh, there's a nail laying there. No, it's a mesquite thorn about that long. They'll puncture a car. But yet they're invaders. And like I said, there was a time when there weren't cedar trees here. I can remember when Mother and Daddy bought that place in '65, I said there wasn't a single tree there big enough to cut a post out of. Now there's some over 30 feet tall. But they invade. And this is what happened here. The land was invaded and it was left fallow. All their hard labor would be for naught. They had traded wheat for thorns. God sent Jeremiah to sound the warning signals of the Lord's burning anger, but they chose and failed to heed the warning. Any comments?
When you talk about the tomato, and I was reading one time.
Yeah.
The preacher says the worst thing you can see when you buy a tomato is half a worm.
Half a worm, yeah.
He said, if you figure that thing, then it goes way in there.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that worm develops from the seed of that tomato.
Yeah.
And the root grows out of it.
Yeah.
It's from the heart that people have.
Right. Yes. Yes. I used to get so aggravated in our state bird, mockingbird. I don't know why whoever picked that as a state bird. But they'll destroy teachers. I mean, they won't just go there and eat one. They just go pick one and then go with the other one and wind up ruining nearly all of them.
Cardinals like
Yeah.
tomatoes.
But, it's supposed to be against the law to kill a mockingbird. I was wondering about that. Well, yeah. Well,
Not supposed to kill them either.
yeah, they're birds of prey.
I won't go any further than that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're birds of prey. Well, there's a red-tailed hawk, which is common around here, and then the speckle, maybe. I was out there, my son-in-law shredded and moved all this, Bill used to call him more 40. But I was out there talking to him and shredding, all of a sudden, here come this hawk was made to dive down there from running after the mouse or something. But I've owned it before, and mice and rats run out of it. But like I said, they're birds of prey. Even a buzzard is considered a bird of prey.
Well, we have more than our share, if y'all want any.
Yeah. Well, my advice is don't have chickens. I've seen mother run out when a chicken had some chicks, and I've seen her running out the house with the 22 and off after them. That was before they were considered a bird of prey protection. But yeah, it is, and it's Evil is protected now. I mean, what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. We see it today, so much going on. But, people's lifestyles are protected. Yes, yes.
I give a lot of thought to verse 5 and 6 where God is talking to Jeremiah.
Yeah,
And if you compare that to God's response to Job,
yeah, right.
and you think about that, he's not talking to the world, he's talking to his people here.
Sure.
And in both instances, one of the many things that you can see, which I think we ought to really consider for ourselves, their expectations were not correct.
Yeah,
And because they had bad expectations, it affected the way they acted.
yes,
And I think in the churches, it would be good for us to consider that. And really go to Lord, what are my expectations? Are they aligned with what you're doing here?
right, yes. Well, and I think it's encouraging too that we can look at it individually. That even though the life's been lived, God's still up. He's not through with us. And he hasn't thrown us to the side. You know, even though he's big punishment against Judah for disobedience. We suffer sometimes punishment and judgment from God for disobedience. But he's not through with us. That's encouraging to me. He's not through with me. He's not through with us. But he hasn't cast us away. He said, I'm through with you. I'm done with you. Even here, even the judgment he pronounced on Judah, he was not through with him. He was not through. And for me, that's encouraging. It's encouraging that we're still one of his. And he loves us. And it is. And I'm not saying, Lord, put it on me. I'll miss him. But it's like I said, it's your.
Well, even as your last breath, he's giving you every chance.
Yes.
To turn to him. I mean,
Yes. Yes. Well, what's that? It's a song? What is this? It's me again, Lord.
yeah.
Here I go again. Any other comments? Butch, would you just miss us, please?
Father, thank you for this day, the time to come study you, Father. Thank you for giving us a great minds, Father. Thank you for your word and reminding us that even though our mind rolls on, what we think is the answer, we have the answer lies in your word. Just give us patience, Father, Father. Even though